everyone, I'm Nettie Kay. Welcome back to my studio. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you how I start to develop a character for an illustration or a little cartoon. Okay, I hope you can follow along and draw with me. So get out a piece of paper and a pencil, and you can use a piece of charcoal if you like, and we're going to do a few little ideas on how to draw a face. Now, many of you guys know that I work on children's books from time to time, and I have one on Kindle Fire called Catnip Chicken that's been out for quite a while, and I have another book that I've been working on called Uncle Bob's Job, and it's really a fun little story. Hopefully I'll get that one finished maybe by the end of this year. And so how I start, I don't start out by, getting all the paints out and coloring it all in and doing all that. No, I start with a very rough sketch. And so here's just a little rough sketch of one of the little scenes that I put together, super rough, and then I put them together in a little notebook so that I can work on them. And then I will begin to add a little bit of color onto the project. I decide what colors I want to use for the overall look of the book. That's kind of important, instead of just using all the colors in your entire palette. You want to kind of narrow them down a little bit. But that's for another day. And then I have another character called Perlamina Joy. Isn't she cute? This is Grandma Perlamina. And so I started out with a rough sketch of her, developed it, painted it a little bit, and then I actually glued feathers onto the drawing and some pearls. And then I took a picture of one of my pair of glasses that I have a collection of, and I printed it off, cut out the glasses, and glued it onto the photograph, okay, or glued it onto the art, okay. And then I took a picture of it and printed it off, and that's what it looks like. So that's called collage, all right, collage with feathers. Can you believe that? So I'd like to show you a little bit about how I draw a few little of the features on the face as I begin. And let's get going, yeah. So I've got a great big huge piece of paper here, and I'm going to draw things a little oversized so that you can see it, and maybe a little darker than what I normally would. I normally would start very lightly and very loose, but I'm going to show you a little bit darker so that you can see it. And then I also use Q-tips to do some blending. Now, one of the first shapes that we need to remember, and if you have been in any of my classes, the first class that we always do for brand new beginners is on how to draw a sphere. And a sphere is just a ball, you guys. It's just a circle that looks like it's three-dimensional. And so I'm going to do one over here so that you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to do a pretty good size one. There we go. There's just the circle part. And then I'm going to pretend that the light is coming from that direction. And then I'm going to put in a nice crescent moon in shadow on the dark side of the sphere. Okay, so that's how this goes, just like that. And then I'm going to take my Q-tip, I like to get them where they've already got a little graphite on it, and then I'm going to smooth that out like this. And I will blend it into the rest of it, and it kind of looks like it's three-dimensional, doesn't it? So every object and everything that I do in my illustrations hopefully has a basic shape, and it has a dark side and a light side. When you're doing cartooning, the main thing is that you need a dark side and a light side, but you might want to think about having a dark, a middle tone, and a light on each object, okay, especially if you're painting something realistic, all right. But cartooning, you can get away with a dark and a light, maybe that's the minimum, all right, that's the minimum. So let's keep going. Okay, so why was that important? Well, take a look at Perlamina Joy. Her nose starts out really with that same idea of that sphere at the end, and then there's these little small half spheres on the side. And even her cheeks are really these round balls that have got the shadow going on the opposite side of where the light is hitting. And for her, it looks like the light is hitting up above, and then the shadow is underneath. And so let's see if we can do a little cartoon with that in mind. All right. Now, I'm going to begin, I think on this one, we'll start out, let's just start out with the kind of an overall round, kind of an egg shape. I don't always start with an egg shape. Sometimes I'll start with just the center part of the features, and that's one way that you can start. But I'm going to begin with an eggy shape, a little bit of an egg shape. Now that's looks more like a realistic kind of a shape for realistic heads. You can make the faces, you know, perfectly round. In fact, think about things like SpongeBob SquarePants. They did his face on a square thing. Oh well, you can make it whatever you like. It's your cartoon. You can do whatever you want. But we'll just pretend that this is a little more realistic than SpongeBob. All right. So now I've got this. I got the head about the size of my hand. All right. So I have the top of the head and the bottom of the chin is about the size of my hand. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to go halfway on here. I'm going to think about halfway right there is where the eyes are going to go. What? Yeah, if it's realistic, I'm going to put the eyes at the halfway mark. And so I'm going to make a line just very lightly right there, a little bit of a jump rope that shows you that. And I hope you can see that. Yes, you can. All right. So now this is where the eyes are going to go, everybody. Not the nose, not the mouth. We sometimes think that the most important part is the eyes, and so that we put them up real high. And then we don't have room for the brains. Well, the brains are kind of important, so we need more space for the brains up there. So let's make sure that we don't put the eyes up here, okay? We want to put them about halfway on the face. And so I'm going to do something a little silly. We're going to start out by putting in, right underneath that little eye line, I'm going to put in a round ball. And I'm going to make it pretty big, okay? Round ball. And I've got a little bit off center, that's okay. There's a round ball, which is kind of like what we're going to do here. And then I'm going to put in some half circles as far as the nostrils are. So I'm putting in the half circles like that. So it's kind of like this. I'm going to do it really big right there. All right, I'm going to do a big one, and then I'm going to do a slightly smaller one. And then I'm going to put in some nostrils. Okay, so I'm going to put a little dot. I know that looks silly, but then I'm going to give it a little tail like a comma and pull in a little bit of a comma right there, just like that. And that starts looking like a little nose, doesn't it? So it's really, the end of the nose is a ball, then we have two half balls on the side, and then the little commas that are the nostrils. The nostrils aren't just dots, no. They're commas, and they kind of look a little bit like a pollywog sometimes. Yeah, so they're a little bit thicker on the top part. Let's see if I can do one here. I'm going to go, here's a comma right there, and a comma right there. And see how I'm overlapping into those little wings over there. And then I'm going to make it a pollywog, or a little, almost like a watermelon seed right there, and make it a little bigger. I think I made my shadow so dark you can't see it, but I'm going to do it on here. I'm going to do a watermelon seed right there, and then I'll kind of pollywog it together a little bit like that so that it looks a little bit like this. That's just a cartoon nose. And it's just a little bit different for doing a realistic nose, all right? It's almost the same idea, only you're really watching to see what shape the nose really is. Okay, so now I have that, and then I have, I'm going to now take my pencil and my lead, and I'm going to do like I did here. Maybe not quite so dark, but I'm going to do it just a little bit lighter, and I'm going to come around and give the bottom of the nose a little shadow. Just a little shadow right there. Yeah. And then I'll take my Q-tip, and I'm going to shade that in a little bit, just like that. Okay? Just like that. That's fun. And then I think while I've got that on there, I'm going to shade just a little bit of the wing over there, because that's in the shadow and it's pushed back a little bit. When you have the light part of the cartoon comes forward and the dark stuff goes back into space. so don't forget that part as well. So there's that little nose like this. And then I think what we'll do is we'll come out and we're going to give him a little bit of a cheek. So I'm going to come up around, we're going to give his cheeks a little bit like this, him or her, we don't know what it's going to be yet. And I'm going to come out the kind of right around there, the nose. I might make that cheek just a little bit wider than that face is actually, so I'm going to move that out just a little bit to even it up. And so look, it's just like a little ball, isn't it? There's the ball, just like that, only it's this. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the shadow on the ball on the left side of that ball. I'm going to shade that in with my pencil. And then I'm going to take that Q-tip again and I'm going to blend it in a little bit, just like that. All right, blending it in. And so I'm thinking about those spheres. This is all about spheres. Face your spheres. That's funny. And I think while I'm at it, I'm going to shade the side of the head a little bit. The side of this eggy head. There we go. And now let's do the same thing over here on this one. And remember, that shadow is going to stay on the same side of the cheek as it is on the nose. We don't just all of a sudden switch sides. When the light's coming from over here, you want the shadow to stay on the same side of each part of the face, okay? I might swing it up a little bit over there just to kind of push it back into space. And I'm about ready to kind of stretch this out a little bit. I'm just going to connect that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so there he's starting to look like or he or she, our character, is looking a little bit more like a personality. Now, as far as the mouth goes, this is fun. You can do all kinds of mouths. You can just do a smiley face if you want. That's okay. But I want to do something like this, and I'm gonna do it down here. This is the line between the two lips. That's the line that gives you the expression, all right? It's if you turn up the lips and put the corners up, of course it's going to look a little happier and a few different things. But I like to start the middle of the lip like this. I'm going to start it with just a little dip going down. See that little dip right there? That already looks like a mouth, doesn't it? So we'll start that, and not too far down from the nose. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make a little dip like that. Little funny little face like this. And then I might want to make it happy, so I'll just scoop it down, so I'm kind of making almost a flattened out M, all right? But I want it to have a little dip in the middle, because that's what your lips do, okay? There we go. And I've got this, and then I'm going to put a little corner of the mouth like that, and that gives me this option. Now, if I want the mouth to be open, this is where I can make that choice, all right? So let's make the mouth open so he's kind of almost talking. And so I'm going to swing a little jump rope down like this from there. And I've got it kind of slightly off center because it looks kind of cute that way. And there's a very happy face already. And then the bottom lip, I'm not worried about the top lip right now. I'm going to go like this and put just a little line at the bottom to make it look as though there's a lip there. I don't have to do a lot of coloring on that or shading in. I've got that bottom lip sticking like that. And I think on the inside, maybe I'll make a little tongue on the inside. So I'll just kind of give it like that. And then I'll darken in the corners like this, really, really dark, and make it a little bit lighter shade on the inside. And it makes it just look like it's got a happy open mouth. So I've got dark on the triangles in the corner of the mouth are really, really dark. And then, of course, I can always use my Q-tip again and really shade those in nicely, just like that. And I might put a little shadow right underneath that lip. Let's see if I can do it with just my Q-tip. Yeah, so it just sticks out a little bit like that. Now remember, the side of the face is also, let's just give this little guy a chin that kind of fits inside the face like that. And I think we'll give it a little fat face right like this. So I'm going to come around and give it a little fat face just like this. That's really cute. I like that. All right, so it's super fast. I also think I'd like to give the nose a little bit of a shadow underneath because it's big and it's sticking out. Not too much, you don't want to give it a mustache, but I'm going to give it a little shadow underneath the nose just like that. You don't have to do that, but I like doing that. And then I'm going to take this part of the face and I'm going to do a shadow on the left side of the face just like this. Little shadow and just kind of going back and forth. Take my Q-tip and shade that in a little bit. That's neat. I like it. And then let's see, oh, maybe just a little bit of a shadow slightly off to the, not right down the middle, but just that little dip that goes in. You know that little dip, it's called a philtrum. And it goes up and then you have that little dip in the middle and then it goes down. Well, that casts a little bit of a shadow. Don't give it too much though, it'll look really weird and it'll look like a funny little chocolate spot on the person's face. But just a little gives it that much of a face, all right? Now what are we missing? Hello, we're missing some eyes. You can put a full eye on there if you want, or you can just make tiny little dots. Yeah, you can do whatever. There's lots of different ways of doing eyes. And we'll do maybe a realistic eye here in the next video. Won't that be fun? I'll show you how to make a realistic eye. I'll do a really big one. Yeah, we'll do that in our next time together. But let's get this one going. Let's see, we want to put, I'm going to actually take this nose up first a little bit like this, and I want to put just a little line that gives me two sides of the nose. See that? So I've got the ball, and then I have two sides of the nose. That's called the bridge of the nose. That's this part that goes down this way. Okay, so there's this part of the nose, and then there's the ball and the little, well, you know, just remember what we just did. Okay, so now I know the eyes are going to go on either side of this. So let's start out, and we'll put in maybe just some funny little dots. Actually, I'm gonna do something a little bit weird. I'm going to put, this is the shape I'm doing. I'm going to do the shape is going to be teardrop, kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to make these eyes pretty close together, and that's to make it look really cartoony. And so I'm going to make a teardrop like that, and then a teardrop on the other side, and I'm leaning them just a little bit towards the middle like this. Ooh, that kind of looks spooky, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, now I'm going to do this. I'm going to fill in this part of the, I'm going to fill in the ball part of that with my pencil mark, but I want to leave a tiny dot of white at the top, a little sliver or a dot of white, so it looks like there's a sparkle, kind of like that. So I'm going to do that on a small scale here. I'm going to make this nice, and I'm going to make basically the round dot like this. And then I'll fill in just the dark part of the eye, leaving a little white or light spot so it looks like a sparkle. Let's do another one. And then I'm realizing this square piece of graphite that I have, or pencil lead, is a little bit hard to control. Okay, isn't that cute? That looks kind of cute, doesn't it? Now, part of his expression is going to be his eyebrows. If I put his eyebrows going in like this, he's going to look angry. Even though he's got a smiling face, it's going to look a little weird and it's not going to match. So I want to put some simple eyebrows that make him look like he's really happy or surprised. And maybe we'll do one on all the different kinds of expressions and how you can change them someday. But right now we want this one looking kind of, oh, it's my birthday? Yeah, all right, yeah, let's try that. So I'm going to start from the outside, and I'm going to give him an upward motion like this. Yeah, like that. I'll come around on this side, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And so I've got him looking really, really kind of happy and surprised. Yes. Now, he is missing some ears, isn't he? Yeah, missing a lot of things. He's missing a neck and some hair. All right. Well, let's see. If I put his ears right here, I'm going to take a little ear, and I'm going to come down kind of like a candy cane with a little loop on it like that. That's a simple ear. And then I'm making them kind of skinny. Now, the wider you make them, of course, they look really funny if you do that, if they stick out. And then it's just a little candy cane that goes around there. And then to make my ears a little bit simple, but yet make them look more like ears and not just like, you know, whatever stuck to the side of his head, I will put in a little line, mirroring on the inside of the top part of the ear. Okay, let's do it again on this side. And I just come around like that. I might even do this. I might even come in and put a little mark, you know, that little thing in there. And then I'll go in and I can take, I can shadow a little bit inside that. Of course, I wouldn't probably leave that swoopy line across the face. I'd erase that a little bit at some point. But I'm going to put a little shadow in there, and then maybe this side of the face will cast another shadow right there, and we'll darken the inside of the ear where the light doesn't hit. Yeah, that's good. All right, so that's the little face, and then I'll just give him a neck, little neck, like that. And then maybe a little t-shirt collar, like this. Then, if I want him to have shoulders, I don't put the shoulders right there. I take the shoulders up slightly into the neck, and then I put a shoulder out that goes like that. Okay, so he's kind of cute. Now, let's see, what shall we do with the top of his head? Well, let's see. I could give him a hat. That'd be fun. All right, I'm going to give him a hat. Here we go. I'm going to go up like that. And I think I'll give him kind of a funny little cap like this. That's one way to do it. And then maybe I'll give him a, let's see, that's a funny looking hat, isn't it? Well, maybe I'll give it a little bit of a band like that. Kind of like that. That's kind of funny. And then how about I give it a little bit of a brim like he's wearing it backwards. I'll just stick it like this, like that. And then I want to give this a nice shadow because it's kind of in the dark right there, so I'll give him this. But you can put any kind of hat on that you like. In fact, it's kind of good to just look maybe at pictures online or in magazines or different things and see if you can figure it out. This side, of course, is dark on the hat, so let's make that side of the hat dark. And then you can color this band any color you want there. I'm going to give this a little bit more darkness right here. And I think maybe I'll give him a little bit of hair. Yeah, that'd be good. So I'll give him a little hair. And maybe I'll give him a little tuft of hair coming down like this, and a little bit of hair like this, like that. Okay, so, and oh, don't forget, this neck is also what we call a cylinder, okay? A cylinder is you know, like a paper towel roll, all right? Trunks of elephants, your neck, a trunk of a tree. It also has to have a dark side too, doesn't it? So let's do that. Let's put our dark side on this side. And I'm just shading it like that, down the side of his neck. You can see how that just makes it look like it's three-dimensional right there. And so now I'm going to color that in, or I'm going to shade that in with my Q-tip. Now, a lot of people, when they do cartoons, they don't do that kind of the blending. They just make what's called hash marks. And so you can actually see the marks on some of the cartoons, and that's one way to do it. And so there's, you know, there's just an unending way of doing various different cartoons. So try some of those different techniques that you can read up on and watch YouTube videos on, and try them for yourself, all right? So I hope this was kind of a fun little exercise. You can make your own characters at home. Look at some children's books and maybe copy a few of those little characters that you like really well. Now, next time we meet, of course, we're going to do another drawing, and I'm going to show you how to draw a realistic looking eye when you go to do a portrait. But even being able to draw the eye will really impress your friends. So stay tuned, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye-bye for now.